Hello everyone, thanks to the power of the internet, I get to talk with you, and with a new anime season kind of on the horizon, and the fact I haven't talked about Mag in like a month, means I am legally obligated to talk about Magnolia, mainly because we have a promo, and some of you might be wondering, what the hell do I do with it? Well, obviously you're going to play it. Going through the ride line, you're just going to do the normal one. I don't really enjoy Karis because I've never been able to resolve Karis, because I always just get like all my grade 1s and anything that cannot be called off of him. But what it does is when it's rode upon by the grade 2, look at top 3, choose a grade 2 or less normal unit and call it a rear. You may discard the rest. If you don't discard, you put them in the back in any order. When you're playing grade 4, you're going to deck yourself out, so please do not discard. I beg you. Grade 2 is really cool because it says, hey, did you discard a grade 3 or greater? Get it back for hand for a free draw. Well, technically Soul Blast 1 to do this, but hey, we don't count that. His other rare guard effect doesn't matter. Everyone should know this one. It's the vanilla grade 3. It doesn't have any further effects. But you should know what grade 4 at this point does. When it's placed on Van, choose something from Soul, call it out. If you got Magnolia in your Soul or on rear guard, everything else gets 5k and can attack from back row. Pretty cool. Now, one of you, the most astute of you, will note. Inlets at 2. Inlets at 2. Yeah, you brick so much on grade 3. Like, Ingolf is a tremendously awesome card. Bear in mind you have 4 in hand or as your vanguard. If not, it's bad. It's so bad. And from how this deck is now built, you just really don't need 4 inlets. If you don't know what he does at this point, if you attack 4 or more times, he tucks himself into Soul and you draw 1. He doesn't restand, you're not Flagberg. You most likely get this back from Ingolf, because on place, Soul Blast 1, if you got a grade 4 Van, you can call a grade 2 or greater card with a different card name from drop and add it to hand, which mainly gets slapped down back onto the field. Also, if you discard him for ride up to the grade 3, you get a draw 1, which is why I enjoy Lattice more, because you just get him back. Free revive. Obviously, I always tuck at least one Care Bearer into all my Mag 4 decks because I love playing him in the back row, counterblast 1, to give his power to someone else too. To give this deck a bit more lethality, of course there's Gabrig to Soul Blast 1 to get, Goldabat out of Soul, to get your inlets out of Soul. If you don't go to grade 4 for the revive, it gets plus 10k if something in the same row attacks, and then for every unit on your opponent's rear guard, they're not allowed to guard with that card grade from hand to Guardian. In this meta, this isn't so helpful, but it's nice especially when Night Rose comes out, where it's like, hey, yeah, I got the PG. Well, you're going to move it down anyway, but for right now, when I attack, no, you're saving that for the other things. Goldbat is your obviously just plus 5k to Magnolia, but your 20k attacker, 25k, always basically from back row. And then behind Magnolia, this is your draw engine. Pretty good. And the last card that's basically in every Magnolia Elder build, we have Banatsby. Why? Because it just Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, Call 2, or any units with different names from your drop to rear, and then for every grade 2 grades, this unit gets plus 5k, so it's another 25k attacker. Pretty cool. Now the newer things are the promo. Obviously we have the tomato. What does the tomato do? Well, it doesn't do a lot in Elder. It's just Energy Blast 3, Revive 1, specifically with Sylvan Horn, and it's got to be less than your Vanguard, so mainly this is just going to most likely always target Banatsby, Call 2 more things, which should be like Inlet Golbat. If Golbat's not coming off of Elder, get Ingolf or Grebeg. I can't speak. So just for one card for Energy Blast 3, Soul 1, Counter Blast 1, you get 4 units, which honestly is a really good exchange and allows Magnolia to do a lot more intercepting when allowed. And then, of course, the other thing is, it's also good early game because you're running the Sylvan Horned Ride line, which this thing says if one of those Sylvan Horned Beasts are attacked, you can retire this, which becomes a future call target for doing the opposite, like Banatsby or Ingolf to call it back. That unit gets plus 10k until end of battle. I would have preferred end of turn, just to make it a little bit better, because you can't loop this thing in the deck. Like, you can't Energy Blast 3, call the tomato. Doesn't work like that. And then you get this cute little hedgehog. I don't like it, but it's really good for pushing, especially when you have Care Bear, because it's a 13k attacker, so you swing with that. Hopefully no one hits a defensive. But at the end of the battle it attacked. If you have Magnolia, you can Energy Blast 3 to stand it. It cannot attack again, but that you're using it to boost. So you're not really losing out if you do Care Bear attack, give power to over here. Let's assume you don't get any triggers. So Gonisi is only 15, making this 28, which hits already a magic number. It's going to restand and then probably boost Inlet, but this is the real reason I like running Grebeg, because you Soul Blast 1 when something from the same column attacks, so the back row. You swing with Mairashi, and then it will restand. So not only is Grebeg getting a plus 10k and a Guardian Restrict, he's also now being supported, which makes guarding him a lot more difficult, especially if they leave, like, 2s can sometimes be effective, but more importantly, if they leave a 0 or a 1, Grebeg's basically being a hit, which is why I love it so much. And then honestly, just for consistency, you have Mythiarch Habitat, because sometimes you don't see a piece and you just need that last remaining one. Now, I know this is blasphemy, especially from me, because I've done so many test hands and stuff. I don't really gotta show off Mag. You either go off, you pop off, or you don't. You just don't. But I also build my least favorite version of Mag. Yay! We have the same ride line, except of the grade 4. You now have Mask. At this point, everyone should know my disdain for this. I don't enjoy playing it. Everything on a Dragon Tree marker gets plus 10, so essentially getting plus 15. 25 in the back row if you have a Sirol, which is the only true reason to play it. And then, of course, you can retire Magnolia. Then whenever something attacks from back row, you can retire something. You, of course, replace the Goat with Malieve, because you can Soul Blast 1, get 5k, and then if you didn't countercharge, which you really don't, you countercharge 1, and then it's an additional shield, which is always good. You replace Banatsby with Force Grow, because you can call up to as many Dragon Tree markers. Of course, to get them, you're running Depth, and you're running Bist. Honestly, if we get more things, the Delps, whatever the Wretches, for the other nations, just like Keter and Dragon Empire getting, that use energy, it's going to be a whole lot more fun. Of course, the promos here, because it works better in Mask, because you have so much more versatility, you can call a Sylvan Horned Beast, which are really just counter charge. If you Persona Road, give it to the back row too. Don't forget, this is a continuous. So even if you call it after the fact, it does not have to see the Persona Ride. I also throw 2 of these in because it attacks from back row where it should be. So if it's on a lovely little marker. You know, it's just a wonderful 23k attacker that restands to boost. It's nice. Another thing I enjoy running is Alvin, which is the goat. If I can find it on the side. Give me a second. Here he is, Beaver with Stick. Alvin, because he requires 2 or more to guard, which becomes very inconvenient, especially if you just swing 23, because they're like, oh yeah, just 15 to stop. No. But outside of this is a pretty generic list. You might notice that I'm not running PGs. I like a more aggressive build. You can honestly probably cut back a Sorol, one of the promos, and a countercharger to yeah, just throw in the rest of the Sentinels so it looks more like that. Just wanted to do that to show it off. Because honestly, the promo works really well in here, because it's like, hey, it fixes mask issue if you can have the resource to do it. Because it also calls a Dragon Tree unit, so it's like, hey, get this thing back, just counterblast 1, get a marker. Hey, get mask and marker. But more importantly, Karis feels so much more better to discard a mask, because you want to drop this as fast as humanly possible, or get something you can revive, like, off of Tomato really early, like Sorol. Because if you discard that, play, you know, your Tomato, you Energy Blast 3, because you're running the Sylvan Horn grade 2, because you got to ride over Karis to do that, you can then revive him and then also call something. Yeah. And then you can also search for Magnolia. So it's a really good way to not only deck thin, but also build a board, which I think is really neat. Obviously, I'm really passionate about Mag, and I hope more people play it. Sadly, I believe in Divine Set 4 and Set 5, you're not really going to see any Magnolia. We don't really match up well into anything. But I think after, at least, if we get new, you know, wedges where we use energy now, instead of being tied to Counterblast, Mag Mask will actually be more competitive, which kills me on the inside, considering I am a grade 4 Coper. Play this till I die. And you get rid of the Sweet Shop package, because recalling PGs is just not the way. It feels nice, but so much wasted potential. You could probably do it if you want to, replacing Mythiarch Habitat, because you can now just revive 4 off of 1 card, so take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, I'm not going to show a test hand. There's plenty of those. And all of these decks are pretty slow. Like I said, both of them suffer from the same issue. If you don't see your grade 4 in Elder, you lose. If you don't see your mask in Magnolia Mask, you lose. I'm showing you these in the hope, in the very, very slim possibility that the woman designed to lose, Megamine, can somehow get a new grade 3 completing the ride line we were promised, because this isn't a ride line. There are cards in a ride line. Grade 0 through 3, that's a ride line. But of course, if you made it this far, thank you for watching and getting through my ramblings.